Hey, Greg, can you hear me? Oh,
Can you hear me?
hey, yeah, we're live. Jim, or can anybody else in the audience hear us? I just clicked the go live button. Good morning, Jim. Steve will be with us here shortly. So I entered the broadcast room and I just hit the go live button immediately. I can hear you, Greg.
Okay, good. I think I've worked out some of the technical difficulties I had last week, so I can actually contribute to the program a little bit today.
Good deal. Yeah, last week, Steve and I were just talking about this. So last week we, let me add Steve real quick. Oh, you went with red too?
I mean, yeah,
man. Hey, Steve, we are live, by the way.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. Just so you know. So, Greg, what I was saying was last week we were taking Tigger symbols, and I noticed that one of the viewers, and I'm really hoping that they're on here today because I didn't go back and watch the replay, but one of the viewers suggested, what was it, URNM?
Yeah, the uranium one.
The uranium one, and that popped almost, for an ETF, it popped almost 25% this week over the last 5 days.
It's up 7%. Probably had to do with IDA.
Probably, but still.
Still. Same thing with UNG from a couple weeks ago. UNG is up a lot, and
what's UNG up today?
It's up slightly.
It's up slightly, yeah, but for the week, let's see.
Up huge.
Yeah, it's up 6.5% this week. It's up 13%, so it's up a little, about 20% last 2 weeks since I recommended it.
Nice.
Very nice.
You caught that?
What's that?
You caught that trade? That's a nice one.
Yeah. So today, what we're going to do, so I'm still trying to get some interaction going on this, right, Greg? We're going to do a small little competition for the viewers, and I'll have to talk about this again. So I'm going to give a $100 Amazon gift card, or we're going to give a $100 Amazon gift card to what did we decide, Steve? The biggest jump between now or the end of the close today, price at the end of the close today. Steve, you explain that.
Yeah, so we're going to do an individual stock, Friday's close price to Thursday's close price next week. Minimum $10 per share, no earnings. So no earnings, no stocks that are reporting earnings next week, so it could catapult, right? Just a straight pick. Technically that's 3 days worth of trading, but it's 1 week. $100 Amazon gift card, something like that. Should be fun.
To the winner who is the closest on the price?
The winner they're going to put their ticker in the chat. I'm going to put them all in an Excel file, and then whoever jumps the most in that week under those parameters, that is the winner.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We've been trying to get these competitions rolling, and I was like, man, we've been working with this software, and I really just want to kick something off for the people that have been, helping us get this going by attending. So I figure we have an attendance contest instead of launching it to everybody. Let's just, for those who showed up today, we'll just do this and just get it rolling. I think it'll be fun. Plus, that's just another example. I've had other people, dollar-wise or percentage-wise, right, Steve?
Percentage gain.
Percentage gain. Good question, Neil. Yeah, literally, Neil, we just kind of spitballed this after we saw a big jump, and I was like, man, there's so much value in the people that are coming on this. These are all traders, on some level or another. There's so much value there, and just encouraging people to put those tickers out and to get active. There's a lot of value in that. So we're gonna just kick this off small. Yeah,
absolutely. You want to do it percentage wise, because if you're just doing it dollar wise, all I got to do is buy Berkshire Hathaway stock, which is, bazillion prices, right? They're really high. And then just, you could win that way just by choosing a high price stock.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll do percentage. And this is kind of a beta test, if you will, for a competition. There's going to be a real prize. There's no beta about that. But, man, I think that this could be fun. And once I get this software and these competitions figured out a little bit better, we can do some cool stuff. Exactly. Neil says Amazon too.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So once this starts and it's 9 o'clock, I'll probably have to say this a few times about this competition, just because, people trickle in over the hour.
Well, it's easy instructions, so it shouldn't be too difficult, right? Everyone's got their favorite pet stock they like. That's okay.
Sure. And also, you can, if just by the end of the day, but if you want to do a little bit of research, just email me at support@thetradersplan.com. Thanks, Neil. And we will get this. I'll get you on the list. But URNM was a great pick. UNG the week before, great pick. And I know this live stream is still kind of in its infancy here, but there's money being made if you're taking action.
Well, and considering you had a great pick and there were only 2 or 3, kind of hard, like, hey, go after it. So it's a pretty good batting average, and they're all up.
They are. Jim, I started 5 minutes early today because I still haven't figured out the difference between going into the room and the live button. So I accidentally hit the live button. But I'll tell you what you missed. So we were just talking. Actually, give me just a minute. Let's let some people trickle in, and we will kind of explain this little attendance competition that we just unveiled. Steve, what do you what's on the agenda today? You want to talk about what was about last week's?
Yeah. So really, I'm going to cover. We're going to do a little bit. I want to talk about what we're going to kind of do going forward. But what we're going to do this week is we're going to cover the overall market. Right, we're going to cover some of the picks from the last couple of weeks, and then we're going to get into some more top ETFs. And what I was talking to Ben is, I think what we're going to do is every other Friday we're going to do top ETFs of the week. We'll go ahead and stick with that today, and next Friday we'll do top stocks and kind of ladder it like that. That gives a little bit more time to different ideas, different ETFs to kind of pop in that top 10 list, and that kind of freshens it up because I have ideas for days. So,
and Greg is starting options next Wednesday, income next Wednesday. And I'll be on that. So anybody that wants to come talk options and get rolling on that, we're going every Wednesday through September. And this is an evolving schedule. We are, coming up with more content, more class ideas, and trying to fill out. September is really our pilot month where we kind of get this going. And really, I know there's a lot of the same people on here, a lot of the same people interacting every week. We really appreciate that. I can't say that enough. I think doing this live is the way to go. And it takes people interacting. It takes this kind of engagement. So thank you for that.
Are we also making this available after we have this live webinar? You put it online so people can refer to it.
Every one of them. And I've been emailing them out, but I haven't really released everything to, the masses or everybody on our list right now. I've been kind of slowly dripping this just so we can kind of, get the schedule.
Work out our technical difficulties.
Yeah. Everybody's been really cool though.
Awesome.
I like the idea of the stocks 1 week. Me too, Neil. Neil says he likes the idea of the stocks and the ETFs. And like I said, we're working out more class ideas. Like we want to get a consistent schedule. This is just kind of an easy one to unroll or roll out. Yeah, roll out. But we'll probably, here in the next couple of weeks, we'll be asking for more ideas to try to fill that schedule because we really want to know, what it is you guys want to learn in the realm of, breaking things down, making money, something that we have skills on, or we'll find other people that have more skills. Greg it was a perfect example. we started looking for somebody that could really help us with options. Yes. What you got, Steve?
Are we about to get started? Did we give out the rules and everything? Are we good for the contest?
Let's go one more time on that.
Okay.
Why don't you explain?
Okay, so here are the rules. By the end, everyone has to drop their top pick in the chat box by the end today. Maybe it'd be easier if everybody just waits and does it at one time. That way we can kind of write them down towards the end. So be thinking about it, okay? So here's the deal. Everyone drops in the chat box your top stock pick. We're going to take, it has to be a minimum of $10 per share. So, no penny stocks. Has to be a stock. We're going to take the end of the day, Friday's closing price and it's going to go to Thursday's closing price. So anything that's already up so far this morning is not going to count. We're going to take the end. We're going to take your stock. Let's say Apple. If it closes at $100 today, that's going to be the starting percent. And the closing price on Thursday, if it ends at 104, that's going to be, so you would be up 4%. So the winner is going to be based on percentage gain from Friday's close to Thursday close. Has to be a stock, has to be minimum of $10 per share, and no earnings reports. So you can't buy a stock that's going to report on Tuesday, Wednesday with the hope that it just catapults, right? So if it reports earnings, that's going to get disqualified. So no earning reports next week. So just look that up real quick.
I did say that they could email me by the end of the close today at support@thetradersplan.com.
Okay.
So you can do that too. I'm going to create a list and try to keep everybody on there, but it's one pick. So don't email me 3 under different names.
Yeah. John, Upstart. It's funny. That's on my watch list too, but it's already gone up a lot, but it's your pick. I don't know. It could continue to go up. All right. Are we good to go? Do we want to get started?
Let's get started.
Okay. So we'll start with the Nasdaq. I'm going to share my screen. Ben, can we get rid of that little income streamer so it's not blocking like tickers and everything?
Mm-hmm. That I figured out how to do. Yes, I can hide and show banners pretty quickly now.
You are advanced.
I'm getting there.
I'm waiting for the screen share to pop up. Looking forward to some camping this weekend, man.
What, Camping World, the stock?
No, I'm going camping.
I'm just messing.
I'm going camping, man.
I know you're going camping.
Okay. Everybody knows I'm going camping. All right, can we kind of blow that up a little bit so it's a little bigger on the screen? There we go. And I'm going to blow this up just a little bit right here. Just get up to, okay. All right. So let's start with the Nasdaq real quick. We're going to start with the overall markets. This morning there was job reports that come out. So, and just kind of FYI, I put little to no decision making in whatever comes from the TV, because at the end of the day, whatever, the market's going to do, whatever the market's going to do. Sometimes good is bad, bad is good. So at the end of the day, everything that, all those analysis and everything is going to end up right here on the chart anyway. So I'll just follow the trend. So the Nasdaq, it was really funny. I always talk about, I've been talking about lately, you really want rules to try. We are in a bull market. We are in a nice rally, and this looks like it can pull back a little bit, right? So I think the Nasdaq is just slightly extended, kind of looking for a pullback right here, but I'm looking for bullish setups, not bearish setups. And I think that's incredibly important, especially when we're in a super cycle. You get this all the time where you get these, 3% pullbacks, and then boom, the market just continues to bounce. And then the market tries to break down right here and then just turns around and comes right back. That happens all the time in strong rallies. So I get a lot of questions about shorting. We're in a bull market, so I'm not looking to short, because most of the time you're going to lose money, right? By the time the market wants to pull back 3-4%, it's already done and it keeps going up. So looking at the Nasdaq, we keep notching new highs this week. We'll kind of see where it goes from here. It looks like if I were a betting man, I would say maybe the market eases a little bit. Maybe the 50-day moving average kind of catches up a little bit, but we're in a pretty strong market. I have no complaints. I really cannot make the bearish case right now. So the Nasdaq looks good. S&P 500 is a pretty smooth chart right here. I mean, that's the kind of chart you want to see, right? Kind of 45-degree angle straight up. It's really amazing how far the market has gone since the March lows of 2020, right? And, we still have high COVID numbers. We still have Afghanistan. There's, the hurricanes. There's a lot of things to make, fundamentally the bearish case. And then yet the market just keeps chugging on. So that's why I always tell people, like, focus on the chart. What's the chart telling you? Because the news is going to tell you something completely different. Right now, we're in a nice uptrend. Maybe again we get that 2 to 3 day pullback. And what's interesting about these kind of minor pullbacks, they tend to be a little scary. They tend to, you have 2 or 3 really bad days, and it's easy to say, oh, the big one's coming. It's easy, I get questions like, okay, when do I sell everything? And my answer to that is never, right? When you have a stock, right, you should have a trade plan for that individual stock. And even if the market does pull back, if that stock is still above your stop loss, you don't get out. You just stay in, especially in a bull market. So follow your individual trade plan for each stock. Don't look at the overall market and say, oh, the market's selling off, I got to get out. I used to suffer from what I call it's the big one-itis. Is my own word. Yes, it's the big one-itis. Because when I entered the finance industry, I started in 2007, and I immediately, sat through 2007, 8, 9. I thought, and for years after that, I thought every little pullback was going to be a big one, right? It's the big one. So once mentally I shifted out of that, it's the big one-itis, and I'm looking for bullish setups, not bearish setups, I made a lot more money. So we're in a bull market, stick with it. So the overall markets are looking pretty good. Let me really move this over here. Now let's look at what's up on the one. Actually, let's start with this. So got to give a shout out to whoever picked this last week. We threw this on our watch list on the show, and it just absolutely catapulted this URNM. I know a couple people said that they made money off this. That's awesome. I mean, look at this kind of straight up shot. But what's interesting about this chart is, you see right here, it tried to break down. It tried to break the 200-day moving average, and then it just reversed, and then it cleared another technical hurdle, the 50-day moving average. And I think if I remember last week, I talked about like, hey, once it starts to clear this $60 level, game on, right? Because you kind of have this resistance level, and that's what happened, and it never even looked back. So for the week, well, it says it right down here. For the week, this ETF is up 30%, or that's the last 5 trading days. This is the current week, so it's a little bit off, but still, that is a lot for an individual ETF. Now, I wouldn't buy it here. Obviously, this is extended. You need to wait for a pullback, probably a pretty good pullback. But, this is just a classic case of, hey, you don't know which ones are going to end up being your winners. We all have no idea. You take the trade, you treat them all the same, and then you just let the trades or let the stocks or ETFs be your guide. So another one that was,
hey, before you move forward on that was Kevin, and who put that in there. And I want to thank you, Kevin, because I had at least, from sending out the replay, a half a dozen people email me that they made money on that. So just a testament to like how valuable everybody sharing information can be here when we do a little research and look at them. That was a great pick, Kevin. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Hats off, man. That was a rock solid pick. So a couple weeks ago, the week before that, I really put my stamp on UNG right here. And at the time, it had pulled back. You had a nice trend. It pulled back to support, low risk entry, because you could just put a stop loss right here. And then I believe it's up over 6% so far this week. And then it was up almost 14% the previous week. So it's up about 21% total since two Fridays ago when I slapped a buy on it. This is also just one of those, like, nat gas. It's not exciting. It's not like crypto or cannabis or anything like that, but it made a move. So this was a big winner right here. Now it's extended, so I wouldn't go chasing it here. Kind of wait for that retracement pullback, but really another classic case of, hey, you never know which ones are going to be your winners. Take a couple trades, treat them all the same, and then they're going to do what they're going to do. So let's continue to look at a few from last week that I was talking about. NIB, and now this was Cocoa, and this was a little on the thin side, but it is up, 2.87%. And look at the volume coming in. So I believe last week when I was talking about Cocoa, again, this is not very exciting at all, but it has a history of doing nothing, right? This is a weekly chart. It has a history of doing absolutely nothing. But something that is starting to change, I talk about personality change of stocks and ETFs. Something has changed. There's a lot of volume is creeping into it, right? And when I just showed you on the weekly chart, there's a ton of volume. So you had a nice move, you had a pullback, and it's starting to break again. This is looking pretty good. And if it breaks 3171, which you can kind of see across here, this kind of 3150, 3170 area, I think it would very easily break out to, clear these 34 levels. Okay, so Cocoa, UNG, uranium, you have this just inflationary trade that's on, and I think it's very real, and I think it's here to stay for a while. Now, when you're dealing with inflationary stuff like oil, it can have a great year, but there can be a lot of peaks and valleys along the way. But this is another one that was up. The chart is still looking good, a little thin, so you can't really pile into this. This is not really something for the masses, but the chart to me is telling me that it's probably going to break above here. So it's looking pretty interesting. Another one I talked about was cybersecurity ETFs, right? Cybersecurity stocks, you got hack, right? You got bug. This bug, B-U-G, the Global X Cybersecurity ETF actually does better than hack. It's performing better. It's looking better on all accounts. But, last week, I think it was right here. And I said it looked pretty good. Maybe it needs to pull back a little bit. Maybe it doesn't. And it's just continuing to get stronger. And even though, at least at the start of the show, the market was down a little bit, this one's down quite a bit. So let me go to the weekly chart. And let me kind of draw this. So right here, you have all the cybersecurity stocks peaked December 31st of last year. And you have this consolidation that's been going back, really an 8-month consolidation. It's been going sideways. It's been going nowhere. You might hear me say from time to time, something I learned from a previous mentor, the longer the base, the higher in space. Now, what that means is if you have a stock or an ETF that's just been going sideways for 6, 12, even 18 months, now all of a sudden it's breaking out. It's breaking out for a reason. And the longer the base, higher in space, meaning the longer in the base, I give the breakout more, it's more valid. I give it more validity than just a short-term consolidation. So you really have a industry, right, going back to the end of December that's been going sideways, going nowhere. Then all of a sudden in the last week, it's absolutely taking off. And it was launched, it really started launching because Microsoft and some of the other big tech, they met with the White House about making significant investments in cybersecurity just due to hacks and everything like that. So I not only have a fundamental case for why this is all of a sudden breaking out due to the news that came out a couple weeks ago, it is backed by the technical picture. And the technical picture is looking pretty good. Let's see where it's at. It's only up about 2% this week. I had a good Friday last week, but this is really, I believe, going to pick up. And in addition, if we do go into, I don't think we're probably going to go into lockdowns, but if we have another coronavirus type of situation where, a bunch of companies are shutting down or halting or whatever the case is, cybersecurity is not going to lose any money. So when you have companies that are just starting across the board, across America, investing more heavily, right? I think that's a great case for cybersecurity stocks. I think I said this last week. If you're looking for individual ideas, a great thing to do is just go to Google, type in BUG fact sheet, and the fact sheet will pop up, and then you can look at the top 10 holdings of the ETF. Right? I do that all the time, and it's just kind of a great way to get ideas because, so this is looking good. This was another idea, and I'll get into the top 10 in a minute. And then you have semiconductor stocks. Hasn't really gone that much, but the chart still looks good. Let's go over to the daily chart. So this doesn't to me look as pretty as cybersecurity. The cybersecurity, it clearly kind of broke out of a consolidation and is looking really nice and neat. This is a little bit more choppier, but everything I'm reading about semiconductors, Ford, GM, they're all halting production because there's just this huge semiconductor shortage. So there's a huge demand for it. I think these things are the chart is hitting all-time highs. It's looking pretty good. In the tech space, it's outperforming some other tech industries. So, when I trade growth stocks, so within the growth kind of area, I like to look at different industries that are really, really looking like they're going to outperform. The semiconductors chart, in my opinion, this is still in a buy range. This looks pretty good right here. So pretty much everything is still look pretty good. Now the market is up. I would definitely, just based on the looks of the chart, I definitely look at like BUG, B-U-G, a little bit better than SOXX, just because it's neater, it's cleaner. The personality of it's kind of a little bit stronger. So, but just kind of something to look at. One more ETF, a couple more ETFs I want to look at before I want to get in the top 10, just ETFs that we have reviewed. The crypto ETF, or it's not an ETF, it's a trust. There's a difference, okay? But they trade the same. So this crypto trust right here, Bitcoin, I'm looking at the Bitcoin futures, and this morning they were back above 50,000. They're like at 51,000. And it's really looking strong. Like we're going to kind of get back out of here and probably start a new crypto bull market. To each his own. When you're dealing with crypto, in my opinion, you have to use less, a little bit more play money type of mindset, just because these are so volatile. This really, I think it was 2 weeks ago. It was probably right in here when I said, hey, this looks good. It kind of pulled back, and now it's looking like it wants to re-break, okay? You have the relative strength line rising, so even though it hasn't gone anywhere in 2 weeks, to my opinion, it still looks good. The futures are hitting fresh, highs, kind of coming out of this. So a lot of times when you have these, let's just say this is a consolidation, right? This is consolidation. Forget the fact that this is a 50, 60% correction, okay? We're just kind of looking at a cut pattern right here. So what I look for when something is coming out of a deep consolidation is I'm looking for it to really start to climb the right side, okay? Because I'm getting in, somewhere around here, because a lot of times what's going to happen is towards the bottom of that cup or towards the bottom of that base, you're going to get these pops, and it's going to try to break, and then it's going to fail. Well, eventually you got to identify that pivot, which in my opinion is that 34.25. And then when it breaks that pivot at the bottom right there, right, that's usually a pretty good entry, right? So then it starts to climb the right side, right? It cleared some major resistance, and that's what I'm looking at right now. So this is looking pretty strong, and I think this is still in buy range. The only negative I would say about this chart is that momentum does seem to be slowing a little bit, because you can see that it was strong and it re-break, and now it's kind of getting weaker. So it's possible that this continues to pause or go sideways or even maybe drifts back a little bit. But in my opinion, it's hard to argue the chart as far as now it's back above the long-term moving average. It broke above 34.25, which in my opinion is the ultimate, now it's trying to climb the right side of the base. It looks pretty good. This is not in my opinion, when you're swing trading these cryptos, this is not a buy and hold type scenario. As always, you want to use stops, because someone on here, probably several people on here, and I get emails, they get so excited. They see just this momentum, this monster move, and they buy up here, they hold it, and then they get cut in half. So you just obviously have to be careful. Anytime unless it is you say, hey, I'm going to buy and hold this for the next 5 years, you always want to know exactly where you're getting out before you even buy something. You do not need to make that decision after the fact, because that's usually when discretion is added and mistakes are made. So let's kind of look at the top 10 of the week. So that's just kind of a refresh. Everything we've talked about over the last couple of weeks looks pretty good still, has been up. Uranium, the big winner, UNG is looking rock solid. So as you can see, for the week, all uranium ETFs are leading, right? So let's just kind of continue to go down the list a little bit. You have this Crane Shares Chinese Internet ETF, KWEB. It's really rallied pretty strong, up 9.4% in the last 5 days or so. It's still in a downtrend. This is in a downtrend. I'm not going to slap a buy rating on this. Now, this did go from 104 to 43. That's a heck of a pullback, bear market, giving that it's just an ETF. But honestly, some of these Chinese stocks, they can move a lot. But in my opinion, they're so volatile, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Because if you put a stop loss on these at 10%, you're getting picked off of most of them. So even though this is up a lot, I'm waiting for, in my opinion, I'm going to continue to wait for some kind of pullback, consolidation, and then the re-break. Okay, so that's what I want to happen. If it's going to pop, I want it to pull back, and then I want to re-break that consolidation. That would much be a better entry than me just like all these little pops. They just kept hitting resistance at the 50-day moving average. They kept failing. Could make the case that this is a good long-term opportunity. But I'm really talking about swing trading at the moment. This emerging market, this chart looks exactly the same, probably a lot of the same stocks. So let's just continue to go down. UNG is still in the top 10. All right, we already talked about that, but it is really interesting, and the more we do these, the more you'll see. Is why I really preach trend following so much. Is strength follows strength, weakness follows weakness. What I mean by that is a lot of times the strongest ETFs, they will continue to be strong for quite some times, because these rallies could last months, anywhere from 6 to 18 months. So right here you have Block, and I forgot this was actually one that we talked about as well. Blockchain a couple weeks ago, and this is looking pretty good. And this is kind of a great point that I was trying to make earlier on the Bitcoin, right? You have these major pullbacks, right? And then you have at the bottom of the consolidation, you have a bunch of these little attempted rallies that fail. Okay, so ideally, when you get these attempted rallies, you have 2 or 3 that are around the same place. And then all of a sudden, when they start to break, which clearly this blockchain ETF has, right, these are great entries, okay, because it broke major resistance, and now it's trying to climb the right side to break out to all-time highs. Now, let me clear this for a second. Does that mean it's going to go straight up? No. I mean, at the end of the day, the market has to go higher for this to happen. But when you're looking to enter something that has, really consolidated, a lot of times these down here, once you find these pivots, these are the better entries versus waiting till it's all the way up here and it's obvious to the masses. So blockchain back in the top 10. Okay, let me get a sip of coffee. This IBD 50 index, these are my kind of stocks, because they're all growth stocks. This is really the top 50 stocks according to IBD's rankings. All right, they update it on a daily or weekly basis. But these are some pretty strong stocks. I want to talk about this for a second because this is very interesting. It's always interesting when growth stocks are really going to start moving. Okay, they don't always just, some of the more aggressive names, they don't always move in line with the overall market. Because if you look at this chart right here, this index, this growth stock index, which in my opinion is the benchmark of growth stocks, of aggressive growth stocks, has been consolidating, really been going nowhere since it peaked in February. Now all of a sudden is at all-time highs. But what's interesting is it really just in the last couple of weeks, you see the accumulation stepping up. You see it broke out of a downtrend, right? The technical case is there. So it's just, and it obviously feels like we're deep in a rally, but a lot of the growth stocks the last 2 weeks are really starting to wake up and really starting to move. And I think this ETF, I talk about the longer the base, the higher in space, is really something worth noting now that this benchmark is all of a sudden breaking out of a consolidation that's been going back over 6 months, right? 6.5 months. So that ETF is looking pretty interesting. Would I buy it right here? Probably not. I would probably wait for a 3 to 4% pullback because I believe that's going to happen, or let it pull back and touch the 20-day moving average first, which is this pink line right here. But that looks pretty good. So let me kind of continue to go back here. Look, you have a bunch of India, China, Japan, Poland. You have a bunch of these international ETFs that are in the top 10. This is in a downtrend, right? I'm waiting for this to happen before I get in. So not a good looking chart, right? Now, this looks interesting. You have EWJ, iShares Japan. I wonder why it is popping, but I haven't researched it yet. But you have a rock solid breakout of a downtrend. You have accumulation coming in. I would definitely put this on your watch list. This does seem a little extended, so maybe let it pull back to 70, right? Because when you get like multiple gap up days, you don't really want to buy it. I mean, obviously 2 days ago, 3 days ago would have been the ideal entry. But this Japan, I would definitely put on your watch list, is looking pretty strong right now. So if I kind of clear this out, and keep in mind that this has, with just like FFTY, the IBD 50 ETF, this has been consolidating since February, and all of a sudden it's starting to wake up. And whether it's an ETF or a stock, when I see these ETFs or stocks that just I've been going nowhere, then all of a sudden start to wake up. All of a sudden you start to see some of the smart money flowing in. These are easy to identify usually because you can look at the volume, and I mean this looks pretty good right here. So you get this line I draw across the bottom of the base, right? You had all these, look at all these resistance levels, then boom, it breaks out. So you want to buy it as it's crossing this, not when it's hitting an all-time high. Okay, but that looks pretty good. I'll look at Poland, and then I'm going to look at one more, and then we can take some tickers. Poland, I don't know what's in this because you have this iShares Poland ETF, but a lot of times what I've noticed is it's not like 100%. You have some of these foreign countries with iShares. It's not like 100% Poland stocks. It's, there's companies that do work in Poland or do sales in Poland. So with this right here, I'm just not going to put it on any list because, I don't know, it's just not that exciting. Two more, excuse me. Last week, we did talk about wheat. It really has just still continued to hover around this $7 level. I said if it kind of broke below 7, maybe get rid of it. I think there was probably a 1%, 2% risk. Like you buy right here, if it goes below it, just get rid of it. It broke below 7 and it quickly reversed back earlier this week, right? You had this kind of daily reversal bar right there. So that's showing me that I do still own this. It is frustrating and has gone absolutely nowhere. It is right where I paid for it, but it is still sitting on support. I'm going to try to be just a little bit more patient with this based on how some of the other commodities are popping. But if it just continues to go nowhere, maybe for another week, I might just get rid of it. Okay. So you have that. And I did want to talk about oil a little bit. You have a lot of the oil has popped this week, and maybe that's due to this is something that's not in the top 10, but something worth keeping an eye on. You have some of the oil that is popping, and it's likely due to Hurricane Ida. Now there's shortages, all over the South or Louisiana, kind of Alabama, Mississippi area. So it's likely due to that, why this is popping. But again, I'm not really wanting to try to add my opinions on why something is happening, because you can really drive yourself crazy. It has been consolidating, and it is right there. It is right there. So it's likely that it might pull back and then do a re-break. And if it does, I would enter this. That looks pretty good right there. No matter kind of what the reason, it doesn't really matter. Right? It's consolidating. Oil's been pretty strong for the most part this year. It's been consolidating for a while. But if it's showing signs that it's trying to turn around, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get in. Right? I'm going to get in as it's breaking. Ben, is now a good time to look at some tickers?
Yes. So real quick, while we're kind of just past the middle, let's recap the competition that we're doing this week, and then let's recap the what are the buyers in the watch list, just to get clear for everybody.
Okay, so the competition, here's what we're going to do. Ben, would it be easier for everybody to just email you or drop them right here?
Either one. I imagine some people need to look a little bit longer, but get it to me before the end of the day so it goes on the list.
Well, the reason I asked, because if we kind of shut down the live, are you still going to have access to the whole chat box where you can?
No.
Okay, so
either put it in the next 20 minutes or email it.
Okay. So here are the rules. We're going to do a $100 Amazon gift card just for fun, right? We're going to do a little stock market competition just for the people that are live on this today. So here it is. So it has to be a minimum of $10 per share, so no penny stocks. Okay, just drop your pick in the chat box or email it to us. So what we're going to do is, we're going to go off percentage gain. And we're going to take today's closing price, not today's open price, today's closing price, and versus that's going to be kind of your entry, right? You can pick today, you can send us today based on today's closing price, and then we're going to close it based on Thursday's closing price. So you're really getting 3 trade days of price action before the next week. And then so it's going to be the top percentage gain. And really our only 2 rules are no penny stock, so it has to be above $10 per share, and no earnings. So that means it cannot report earnings, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week, because let's just keep it simple, just pure stock pick. We'll announce the winner next Friday. We'll email you a $100 Amazon gift card. We'll do different prizes, every single week, do different competitions, but it's just kind of simple and neat, maybe a little bit of fun. So if you have your idea, you can definitely drop it, or you can email it to Ben at support@thetradersplan.com, and he'll kind of track them all on a spreadsheet. Did that cover everything? Oh yeah, and kind of a recap of really what I like right now. There were a lot of stuff. Uranium's obviously extended. Right, I don't like any of the Chinese ETFs because they're in a downtrend. UNG is extended. I think Block is still in buy range. I think this clearly is still in buy range right here. It's a more aggressive ETF, but I would say that is definitely still in buy range. A lot of the stuff I talked about today were a little bit extended because the market's getting steep. I think wheat is still in buy range, right? But this probably isn't going to be a super exciting crypto type move. But at the end of the day, you never know where you're going to get your big moves from, like uranium, cocoa, or whatever the case is. So this is still in buy range. And did they even talk about this? This is bets is probably a little bit extended. So I think for the moment, I'm just going to say wheat and what did I just say? The block, and I think GBTC, right? So I'm still going to say the cryptos are in buy range, the crypto trusts and ETFs. Those are probably your most aggressive ETFs that have the best breakout, to the upside potential. But as anything, those are play money only, full disclosure, make your own decisions, do your own research, don't do anything crazy, right? And before you enter anything, you need to make sure you know where you're getting out and put a stop loss ahead of time, okay? Okay, so now I guess I got one question. If we take some tickers, are they going to get mixed in? Like if we take some chart analysis, are they going to get mixed in with people's picks?
Probably so. I was just thinking about that. So yeah, just let us know if it's a ticker or a pick that you want to look at.
Okay.
And also, just to be clear, some people on this call might be a little bit more introverted. So for one, you can always email me your pick, but I'm not going to put like a first to last place blast out there on this competition. Like we're going to look at the top few guys, announce the winner for next week, but I'm not going to put your name and organize this. So just make a pick for fun. It's just for fun. But you don't have to worry if you're not 100% confident in it. It's okay. You have nothing to lose here. This is about engagement and about getting involved and making some money. So don't worry about any kind of ranking or anything.
That's well said. Well said. So does anybody have any tickers they want me to analyze? We'll probably do this for about 5 minutes. Is everybody going to be pretty quiet? Last time we had a lot.
Hey, Greg, do you have anything?
Yeah. Let me show you what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at the ticker, the company Viva Systems, ticker VEEV.
Mm-hmm.
Victor, Edward, Victor. It looks really interesting right now because the news on it is that they came out with fabulous earnings report, really good, and yet the stock tanked yesterday, went down some $20 a share on a $334 stock. And I'm just watching it, and it looks interesting the way it's playing out right now because it looks like it just wants to go up. Sometimes one of the ways that the market, the traders, the professional traders on Wall Street, what they do is they will slam a stock down at the open where they can manipulate the stock price a little bit, and then they will buy it up over time. Looks like they're doing that right now. So I think they're going to fill the gap. Viva is trading at $315.50 or thereabouts right now. And I think it's going to fill the gap and go up to about $334, if not higher. Now, I could be wrong. It could turn, and go back down. But right now on day 2 after the gap, it is, approaching the all-time, well, the highs since the gap, not the all-time highs, but the highs since the gap, which was down at about $3.14 a share, something like that. So we're already up $1.50 a share. So I just think it looks kind of interesting, and I'm keeping a close eye on it right now.
Very cool.
Just to introduce myself, since I'm kind of new around here, I'm working with Ben and Steven about teaching trading classes. I've been in the markets in one form or another for 30 years, worked in the industry, used to work for Fidelity Investments. I manage money right now for a wealthy investor, and I like to teach people how to trade and invest in the markets, keep a pretty close eye on what's going on. And I just want to give a little endorsement for Stephen. He's giving you very good advice about not chasing your purchase, your entry point. I used to do that early in my career, and what would happen is the stocks would pull back after I bought it. I'd get stopped out, and then it would zoom up, and I could have made a lot of money with that. And so I don't do that anymore. I don't chase it. I do exactly what Stephen is telling you. Wait for a pullback if you didn't catch the initial move, and then that's a lower risk entry point. So good job, Stephen, on that.
I definitely appreciate that. And kind of add to that, we've all done that, right? Chase a stock. And sometimes it's painful when you identify that perfect stock and you're waiting on the pullback that just doesn't happen. And it's just all part of it being disciplined. Some of them will take off and never look back. A lot of them will, you'll buy it, extend it, and then they'll just kind of get crushed. So at the end of the day, it's just stay disciplined. I let stocks go every single week, waiting on the pullback to happen. It doesn't happen. But you know what? There are thousands of stocks to choose from. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's just all about staying disciplined, following your rules, be true to yourself, and you'll do just fine.
Let's look at some of these tickers that are piling in.
Okay.
That was a good idea, Mark. Like if it's a tick or a ticker, you put ticker or pick. You can just let us know, tick and pick. So we have several mRNA.
Start with, okay, I'll come back to that one. I got this EQT. So this one right here, this is really a choppy oil stock, and most stocks are, right? You kind of got to know what you're getting into, like just the pure volatility. Like the swings are pretty heavy. Now I tried to break down and didn't. Right, there's a lot of distribution down here. There's starting to be some accumulation. So for me, I wouldn't buy it right here. I'd kind of go back to the oil chart, the XOP that I was looking at. I'm looking for it to do something like this. And if it does a pullback and then a re-break, that's where I'm getting in, because what's likely to happen is there's got to be balance to a pattern, meaning it's likely to do the same thing over here that it did right here. So there's going to be a bunch of tugging and pulling, even though it seems like it's going straight up. I highly doubt it goes just absolutely straight up from here. It doesn't mean it can't happen, right? But what's more likely to happen is it's going to do some zigzagging along the way. So just wait for the pullback and the re-break. And, and if you're already in it, I would probably stay in it, right? Because we don't know which oil is looking interesting. Yeah, so Marathon Digital, it blows my mind. A year ago, I would have said none of these mining stocks are ever going to turn a profit. And now like Riot, Marathon, like they're all profitable companies. So it's just kind of interesting. I thought just everybody went into the market. So this to me, it looks pretty good. It does look extended. The ideal entry, I talk about that, once it pops, look for the pullback and then the re-break, and that already happened. So if you're looking to get in, you see the 20-day moving average, this pink line kind of trailing behind it. I'd probably wait for a pullback to that, maybe around the 40 area, maybe a little bit less, see if it finds support at that 20-day moving average before getting in. If you already are in, no reason to sell at the moment. It's in an uptrend. Let that trend happen. But again, know where you're getting out on the downside. Always have that in advance. So that looks good. Edward Life Sciences, it's in a very, very strong trend. Okay. So this is a pretty big company in a very, very strong trend. A lot of stocks are extended right now just due to the rally that we've already had. So right now, at this point, this late in the rally, you're looking for pullbacks. So look at this. It is 8% above the 50-day moving average. Usually I like to get within 5 or less, because the 50-day moving average with growth stocks, 1-time support, it got a little bit close, 2-time support. Sometimes on the 3rd time it does break or it pauses for a little bit longer. But if you're looking for an entry, I like to get as close to that 50-day moving average as possible, especially if it is clearly respecting that trend line. Carvana. All right. right. So with this one right here, so you had a pop on earnings, and then it's really pulled back, and it's not respecting the 50-day moving average. I'd let this play out a little bit. If it comes right back and breaks right through that 50-day moving average, you know what I call a false breakdown, which usually means a nice move the other way, I'd get in. But just looking at the chart, it seems likely that it wants to consolidate for a while. So I'd say if it pops right back and gets out of here almost V-shape, you could enter in right there. But I'm just mentally just looking at this chart thinking that it might pause for a little bit.
I think Carvana was a pick. But
yeah, I have no way.
It doesn't say it till there. It's cool. So yeah, guys, looking at this, for everybody before you leave, put pick in front of whatever you're using, whatever ticker symbol you're wanting me to put on this list for a chance to win next week. Put pick in front of it. But I mean, I see that was done with Carvana. That was my bad. But if you have a pick versus a ticker, let us know which one you're wanting.
Yeah. So Kevin asked, what would convince me to buy SILJ or GDX? Okay. So, well, I like what's going on today, right? It's kind of trying to go back above this moving average, the 50-day. There's a lot of volume coming into this. It's in a downtrend. I mean, this chart is ugly as sin, right? I mean, it just is. Like, this is just an ugly, choppy. It's just an ugly. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So you see, kind of here. Let me kind of draw this. I'm looking probably for that inverse head and shoulders, right? Because you got the shoulder, the head. I'm looking for that other shoulder, and then the rebreak. That would convince me that it's going to start getting interesting. Until that happens, it's just in a downtrend to me.
I totally agree with that. One or two bump up days does not an uptrend make. It still looks ugly. I don't want to touch this. In fact, I might consider shorting it.
Yeah, and it's almost like gold is sometimes like cannabis. Like it's just kind of an exciting topic. Everybody wants to trade it, and they want to find a reason to get in it. And I always want to find a reason to get in cannabis. But look at this chart. It is in such a downtrend. You have a death cross right here. It's gone. I mean, it's just in a down channel. Right, I can just draw that channel right there. Like there's nothing good and positive about this chart. So even though it's an exciting industry, just like electric vehicle, everybody wants to find a reason to get in that. It's in a downtrend. There's better stuff out there. I'll wait for, I'll wait for the breakout. Okay. So MSI, again, I don't know if these are pit. I'm just going to treat them like someone wants me to look at them. Motorola, MSI, this sucker, that's one heck of a rally. So, like I said earlier, like a lot of stocks are extended right now just because of the rally we're in. So with this, it is extended. If you own it, no reason to sell it. It's in an uptrend. But it's about 7-8% above that 50-day moving average. You can see that it has found support multiple times at that 50-day moving average. Always kills me when people say moving averages don't work. But if I'm looking to get in, I'm going to get in really close within 3%. And if it doesn't hold, I'm getting out immediately. If I can get in, 2-3% above the line, and if it just immediately breaks through, I'm out, right? Because what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. There's no reason to stay in the trade.
Did you look at ARK, Steve?
ARK.
ARKK.
This is kind of a great case study for what I was talking earlier when I was looking at FFTY, right? Kind of like a benchmark for growth stock ETFs. And this just goes to show you that a lot of times I think this, Kathy Woods, who runs the ARK ETFs, I own this ETF, by the way. But it's just kind of a great case study that sometimes not all, just because the market is hitting all-time highs, some industries can just significantly lag. And this has significantly lagged. A lot of growth stocks are. So I would, same lesson I talked about earlier, right? You have that inverse head and shoulders right there. Even though you might have the double shoulder, you got a nice little neckline right here. You have a consolidation. Wait as it probably breaks above here. Okay, because it could just continue to go sideways, and why invest in something that's going nowhere? Why not invest in something right when it's starting to wake up? Facebook, but I do like Kathy Woods. I think she's so Facebook. This is a choppy uptrend. A lot of the FANG stocks are in really good uptrends. So you can see how many times it's found support at the 50-day moving average since it continues to notch new highs, right? 50-day moving average, 1, 2, 3. So with this one, a lot of times, the more times it finds support, after it gets 3 and above, it's eventually going to break and consolidate for a longer period of time. So when I look at this chart, it doesn't mean it will always, right? This can continue to go to the moon if it wants to. But it has found support several times. Eventually, it is going to take a longer consolidation and pause. So with this one, again, it's extended. I'd probably like it to get closer to the moving average, but I'm kind of confident that if it gets close, it's probably going to go sideways for a while, which is completely normal and healthy. I like it when stocks take pause. I'm completely fine with them taking long pauses, because you have to digest these monster moves. Because some of these stocks make big moves. They can't go straight up for years and years, right? They got to go up, consolidate, let the earnings catch up. Apple, in my opinion, looks a little better. Nvidia, which I own, full disclosure, definitely looks better, in my opinion, than Facebook. Because look at this cup with handle breakout on earnings. Look at all that accumulation. I've talked about this. This is a good looking chart right here. I can kind of consider this one of the FANG stocks, even though it's not, in the acronym, but it's up there. Apple is looking really good too. Oops, a PL. Right, it broke out. It's only tested it once. It's a little smoother. I like stocks. If the stock's gonna go in an uptrend, I like something a little bit smoother, because it tells me there's a little less indecision, a little less tugging and pulling between the buyers and the sellers. Yeah, so and I'll probably do one more after this, and then we'll get on to the competition. Academy is something I have been paying attention to. This is extended, right? It's just gone straight up since it's IPO'd at $13. And like a lot of the Academy sports, Hibbits, have just done incredibly well, right? So, but I think a better entry would have been, right, this down here on this day right here. You can see there was huge volume on this day. That would have been your entry, and it didn't look back. Now, this is likely to pull back because you can see momentum is probably going to slow and pull back. I like it closer to 40, but I'm not buying before earnings. It's only 6 days out on September the 9th. It's just not enough time for a stock to make its move for probably this stock to hit its target before earnings. I'm going to let that happen. I usually will not buy a stock if it's within 2 weeks of earnings, just because I have the objective in my mindset to hold as long as I possibly can, as long as it's going up. And if it goes sideways for 2 weeks, then reports like hadn't hit a target, I can't sit through that. I'll sit through earnings if I've already hit my target one. One more. Has anybody got one more? Did I look at PSA? Public storage. REITs are looking really interesting right now. And they can go up for a while. I love, if you catch a REIT trend, what I call a REIT trend, and a REIT trend is just the smoothest 45-degree angle you've almost ever seen. All right, and that let me look at like REITs. They're just smooth. It is a little extended. It has made a move. It hasn't even consolidated once since it broke out of this range right here. I do think it needs a pause, but REITs, the industry is ranked 22 out of 197, so top quartile, very strong. I really like REITs right now. This does need a pause though, but if you own it, I continue to hold, hold it if that's your. Okay, last one, JWN. I think I already looked at EW. So Nordstrom, this chart to me, it just looks pretty ugly. You have a kind of a topping phase. You could say now this is the head and shoulders, right? Topping, and then it broke the neckline, gap down on earnings. There's better stuff out there. Could it come back? Sure, it could come back, but I wouldn't even get in and consider getting in until it rebroke this neckline. It's in a downtrend. All right. Do we want? Go ahead, Ben.
So, a couple of things. Next week, Greg is going to start our options income class on Wednesday, or show on Wednesday. Greg, you 9 a.m. Is that what we decided on? Central, 10 a.m. your time?
Yeah, that's fine. Same time slot as this.
Okay, great. So
yeah,
9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern. Next week, next Wednesday, we're going to kick off the options class. And so for anybody, I have like anybody that said pick anything that was obvious, I put it in this spreadsheet. But for anybody that's still on that wants to make a pick, again, either email me or just put right now, pick, XYZ in the chat box, and I will get them on this list right now. Sorry, it was kind of a last minute thing. That's on me. It was a little convoluted, but it is what it is. $100 to whoever hits. Plus some good picks. Some good picks.
Okay. I hope everybody has again, you can email support@thetradesplane.com with your pick, or you can drop in the chat box right now. Unless you're in the top, your name is not going to be on some public list. I hope that everybody has a nice, wonderful, safe weekend. I know I'm going camping. I'm looking to get out of here pretty quickly and have a nice long weekend. So everybody be safe.
It's a holiday weekend for everybody.
It is a holiday weekend. Markets close on Monday. I'll be back on Tuesday. And I'll just kind of leave it at that.
GNRC. I'm going to leave it open for just another minute. For anybody that wants to make a pick. GNRC. I got to go through these to make sure I didn't miss anybody, because that's what would happen here.
Okay. Y'all have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Ben, if I shut down, is it going to shut you down?
No, I got this.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Make sure you respond to Shah Ali. Wants to know how to keep connected.
Shaw, you can follow this channel and get updates for the next one. We're putting together kind of a separate site. You can follow us at thetradersplan.com. But follow this channel. We're putting together kind of a separate site for a schedule and a few things that are just related to this channel. But thanks for asking. Good question. We just started this live stream a few weeks ago. And our next one will be Wednesday with Greg. Thanks, Neil. GNRC. Neil. I'll probably have to go back. But that's actually a good idea. I need to put that up. All right. Thanks, Lance. Thanks, everybody. Have a great holiday weekend. And like I said, email me, support@thetradersplan.com if you've got a pick or any questions, and we'll just go from there. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Greg. Oh.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good one.
I got you, James. Thanks, Greg. Take care.
Take care now. Bye.